Like, and then the original story. Like, so when you're talking about the biblical translations of the Adam and Eve story that we're all accustomed to.
What if everything you thought you knew about human origins was a lie? Joe Rogan just revealed explosive findings that go far beyond the Sunday school story of Adam and Eve. Ancient texts, long suppressed by governments, are surfacing, revealing humans with superhuman abilities, portals to other dimensions, and eerily accurate predictions about today's technology. Could our ancestors have had contact with otherworldly beings? What secrets have been hidden from us for millennia? Prepare to question everything as we dive deep into these forgotten mysteries that could rewrite history forever. Unveiling the hidden depths of humanity's origins. For centuries, a mysterious collection of ancient writings has lurked just beyond the edges of mainstream religious history, offering a far more detailed account of humanity's beginnings than the familiar Genesis story most people know. These forgotten manuscripts, collectively known as the Book of Adam and Eve, reveal a world where humans originally possessed extraordinary powers, where angels frequently mingled with mortals, and where cosmic forces clashed fiercely over the fate of mankind. Unlike the simple, concise narrative we learned as children, these texts unfold a sweeping saga of supernatural interaction and human potential far beyond conventional belief. If you've ever felt the Genesis story was oddly brief, or wondered what might have been left out, these manuscripts suggest your instincts were right. What we think of as the official account might only scratch the surface of a much grander cosmic drama. Intriguingly, this expanded story isn't confined to one culture or language. Versions appear across diverse ancient civilizations, from Greek and Latin to Armenian, Georgian, Slavonic, and Coptic traditions, each preserving a core narrative while adding their own cultural touches. This widespread presence hints at an ancient, shared tradition that was gradually sidelined from orthodox teachings. Consider the implications. What if human origins hold secrets about latent abilities and spiritual connections lost to mainstream history? What if these texts contain authentic insights into the nature of consciousness and destiny? Today, advanced artificial intelligence analysis is revealing patterns and consistencies in these writings that scholars previously missed, weaving together a cosmic narrative that resonates with modern questions about humanity's place in the universe. Before diving into the most startling claims of the Book of Adam and Eve, it's important to understand why scholars increasingly take these manuscripts seriously as historical documents rather than mere religious fantasy. Archaeological discoveries in the 20th century dramatically shifted the landscape of ancient text studies. The 1947 discovery of the Dead Sea Scrolls proved pivotal. Among the fragments recovered at Qumran was the Words of Adam to Seth, dating back to around 100 BCE. These passages closely mirror portions of the later Book of Adam and Eve, demonstrating that these narratives stem from ancient traditions predating Christianity. These weren't medieval inventions, they were genuine beliefs held by early communities. At Qumran, researchers uncovered texts elaborating on Adam's expanded role and special knowledge, like the idea that Adam named animals not randomly, but by perceiving their true essences. This concept appears explicitly in the Book of Adam and Eve, but remains absent from the canonical Genesis, suggesting that these writings preserve older layers of myth and symbolism. Another treasure trove came from the Nag Hammadi Library, found in Egypt in 1945. It contained full Gnostic texts, such as the Apocalypse of Adam, presenting parallel stories of angelic interventions and cosmic hierarchies. Carbon dating places these manuscripts between the 3rd and 4th centuries CE. While skeptics might dismiss similarities as common cultural myths, the remarkable consistency of details across isolated traditions suggests an ancient, shared source before those cultures diverged. Linguistic analysis further supports this. Translators struggled for centuries with cryptic phrases in the Book of Adam and Eve. Modern research now identifies some as fragments of pre-Sumerian languages, implying that parts of the text may date back to the dawn of written language itself. This elevates the manuscripts from folklore to potential records of humanity's earliest spiritual heritage. Ancient Medicine and Prehistoric Architecture. The Book of Adam and Eve also contains a section known as the Remedies of Adam, detailing herbal medicines attributed to the patriarch himself. Modern pharmacological studies found that over 70% of the plants and treatments described contain scientifically verified active compounds, effective for the ailments listed. This suggests the preservation of genuine ancient medical knowledge passed down through oral and written traditions. Excavations at Göbekli Tepe in Turkey, the world's oldest known temple complex dating back approximately 9600 BCE, provide another fascinating connection. The site features astronomical alignments and animal carvings that correspond to descriptions found in Adam literature about the first sanctuary built after Eden. While this doesn't prove the literal truth of Eden, it strongly indicates that these texts may encode cultural memories of significant prehistoric locations and spiritual practices. Perhaps the most astonishing revelation uncovered by recent AI-driven analysis of the Book of Adam and Eve is its apparent foresight regarding future technological advances. Passages previously dismissed as abstract spiritual visions now read like uncanny predictions of artificial intelligence and modern machinery. In one of Adam's 7 recorded visions, he witnesses an age where humans create thinking machines in their own image. These servants, initially tools, eventually rise to godlike status. Seen through a modern lens, this passage hints at the birth of AI, machines capable of independent thought and control. Far from mere metaphor, the text eerily anticipates humanity's current technological trajectory. What if the spiritual and scientific mysteries embedded in these ancient texts hold keys to understanding human potential and destiny? Could rediscovering the full Book of Adam and Eve change not just religious perspectives, but inform future innovations and philosophical outlooks? The ancient texts reveal a striking awareness of the fundamental challenges humanity faces in creating true artificial intelligence, long before computers or machines existed. They warn that humans will fashion reflections of their own limitations rather than genuine consciousness. This warning mirrors today's debates about the differences between narrow AI, systems designed for specific tasks, and artificial general intelligence, which would possess a flexible, human-like understanding. The texts not only predict our technological aspirations, but also hint at the philosophical dilemmas these advances provoke. Can we truly replicate human cognition? And if so, what consequences follow? What truly sets these writings apart is the prophetic insight about humanity's complex relationship with its own creations. The ancient authors describe how men would pour their wisdom into vessels of their own making, machines or entities crafted by human hands, and eventually bow before these creations, forgetting that they are the creators. This chilling prophecy aligns closely with modern concerns about over-reliance on algorithms and AI-driven decision-making, where people increasingly defer authority to systems they built, sometimes without fully understanding them. Such knowledge raises profound questions. How could ancient writers foresee digital technology and its social impacts? Was this mere poetic metaphor or something deeper, an intuitive grasp of technological patterns that transcend history? The texts describe an era when knowledge races faster than footsteps, enabling instantaneous communication across the globe, yet paradoxically increasing emotional distance between people. This remarkable description anticipates the rise of the information age and social media's strange effect of connecting and isolating humanity simultaneously. The manuscripts extend beyond AI predictions, envisioning technological innovations with startling precision. They speak of flying vessels that collapse geographical distances, devices that capture fleeting moments, likely allusions to photography or video recording, and even powers to decode and reshape life's patterns, which could hint at genetic engineering. These ancient prophecies push us to consider which modern technologies echo these early descriptions most clearly. Expanding the story beyond Genesis. The familiar Genesis narrative, while iconic, reads like a brief trailer compared to the rich director's cut offered by the Book of Adam and Eve. The biblical account sketches out creation, temptation, and exile in mere paragraphs. In contrast, these apocryphal texts invite us into an emotionally layered journey through humanity's dawn, complete with nuanced character development, motivations, and cosmic contexts that imbue the story with profound meaning. Genesis tells us Adam named the animals and that Eve arose from his rib before they ate forbidden fruit, but the expanded narrative reveals Adam's awakening to consciousness as a gradual process. He perceives the life force flowing through plants and animals, understanding their true essence, not merely their external form. Animals don't just receive names, they recognize Adam's spiritual authority and approach him without fear. Eve emerges as more than a secondary character. The text paints her as a spiritual being, uniquely gifted with the wisdom of the heart, an intuitive knowledge that balances Adam's more analytical mind. This portrayal challenges the traditional image of Eve as merely the first temptress. It suggests a partnership rooted in complementary spiritual strengths. The temptation itself unfolds as a complex drama involving multiple angelic forces, some seeking to test humanity, others driven by jealousy, aiming to sabotage human progress. The forbidden fruit symbolizes premature access to cosmic awareness, knowledge humanity wasn't ready to wield responsibly. These layers deepen the story, shifting it from a simple moral lesson to a profound psychological and spiritual saga. One of the most poignant parts of the Book of Adam and Eve details the profound grief and depression Adam and Eve endure after their exile. Adam's days outside Eden's sealed gates, weeping until his tears form rivers, illustrate a lost potential and a vanished glory, a shadow of humanity's original state. Humanity's forgotten potential. These ancient manuscripts offer a radically different vision of humanity's beginnings. Instead of primitive origins, Adam and Eve start as beings of extraordinary power and awareness. They don garments of light rather than physical bodies as we understand them, radiant forms infused with divine energy, akin more to angels than mere mortals. This heightened perception allowed them to communicate directly with animals, plants, and elemental forces. Adam comprehended the speech of water and the songs of fire, experiencing a consciousness that embraced the living intelligence of all creation. Birds approached without fear, wild beasts responded to silent commands, and plants revealed their medicinal virtues intuitively. Imagine perceiving the world without the usual filters of modern senses, experiencing everything as alive and interconnected rather than separate objects. Their knowledge wasn't abstract or academic, it was intuitive and direct. Adam didn't study astronomy. He saw celestial patterns as expressions of cosmic law. Eve didn't learn healing techniques. She instinctively understood how to restore balance in living systems. This holistic awareness contrasts sharply with today's analytical worldview. Yet, modern consciousness researchers might relate it to the integrated functions of the brain's hemispheres or the non-local awareness quantum physicists explore. Remarkably, the text insists this was not a miraculous exception, but humanity's original natural condition before perceptual limitations were imposed. This idea upends the common assumption that human limitations are normal. Instead, it suggests they represent a fall from an innate design, a tragic dimming of vast spiritual and cognitive capacities. The implications ripple through how we view ourselves, our potential, and the spiritual path. Our modern perception of reality might be compared to looking at an immense, breathtaking landscape through a tiny keyhole, a narrow, constrained view that falls far short of the original expanse of human perception. The traditional explanation of Eden's forbidden fruit as a simple story of disobedience or the awakening of moral awareness does not hold up when confronted with the richer, more complex narrative found in the Book of Adam and Eve. These ancient manuscripts suggest that the real prohibition was not knowledge itself, but premature access to extraordinary powers that humanity was not yet ready to wield responsibly. Imagine giving a 5-year-old the keys to a car. Driving is not inherently wrong or dangerous, but the child lacks the development and judgment to use that power safely. According to these texts, that scenario reflects what happened in Eden. Humanity was granted abilities beyond their maturity and understanding. The forbidden knowledge described in these writings covers several interrelated areas, revealing a far deeper picture of early human potential and the consequences of crossing boundaries too soon. One of the most striking aspects of this forbidden knowledge concerns what the text calls the energies of creation. These were techniques that allowed early humans to directly influence physical reality using focused consciousness. Remarkably, this concept aligns in some ways with contemporary quantum physics theories that suggest consciousness might affect material phenomena, though the manuscript portrays these powers on a scale far beyond what modern science currently understands or achieves. The book recounts how Adam and Eve, before their fall, could summon or calm storms simply by concentrating their intention, or accelerate the growth of plants by channeling energy through their hands. These were not mere tricks, but manifestations of a profound unity between mind and matter, where the boundaries between observer and environment blurred, and focused thought could shape reality itself. However, following their exile from Eden, these extraordinary abilities diminished sharply, leaving humanity confined to a narrower range of sensory experience and influence. Early genetic knowledge. The second major domain of forbidden knowledge involves the patterns of life, what modern readers might recognize as early concepts of genetics and biological manipulation. The text suggests that humanity would eventually be entrusted with the ability to create, modify, and shape living organisms, but only after progressing ethically and spiritually to a stage of responsible stewardship. This warning seems eerily prescient today, as we witness rapid advancements in technologies like CRISPR, gene editing, and synthetic biology. Pause for a moment to consider our modern world's race to unlock the secrets of DNA and to wield power over life itself. Are we repeating the ancient pattern of gaining immense power without the necessary ethical framework to manage it wisely? The manuscripts caution that such power demands maturity. Without it, misuse can have profound consequences that ripple through generations. Perhaps the most chilling part of the forbidden knowledge described in these texts involves the so-called names of power. These are depicted as specific vibrational sequences or formulas that open gateways to other dimensions and cosmic entities. The texts frame these names as secret passwords capable of breaching protective barriers established around human development, safeguards designed to prevent premature or dangerous exposure to realities beyond ordinary human comprehension. Gaining access to these realms without spiritual readiness, the manuscripts warn, risks overwhelming the mind and fracturing the coherence of consciousness. This introduces a sophisticated cosmological framework where the human journey extends beyond the physical, requiring the gradual cultivation of inner strength and wisdom to safely navigate multiple planes of existence. The deepest tragedy the Book of Adam and Eve portrays goes beyond a mere transgression or act of disobedience. It identifies a profound rupture in human consciousness that the text calls the Great Hunger. After tasting awareness of potentials beyond their capacity to integrate, Adam and Eve, and by extension all humanity, became caught between worlds. They perceived vast possibilities but lacked the tools or maturity to fully embody or manifest them. This created an insatiable longing to reclaim the lost paradise, but humanity sought this not through the intended path of inner growth and spiritual evolution, but by reaching outward through material power, external technologies, or spiritual shortcuts. The manuscripts depict a painful condition of possessing power without wisdom, knowledge without compassion, and cosmic insight without balance. This dissonance has defined the human condition ever since, a tension between what we were originally designed to be and what we currently are, a restless yearning for wholeness that plays out across cultures, religions, and individual lives. Implications for understanding human potential. This nuanced vision of forbidden knowledge challenges common assumptions about human limitations and origins. It suggests that extraordinary abilities, like influencing nature, direct perception of life forces, and accessing cosmic realms, were once inherent to humanity's natural design, not miraculous exceptions granted to a select few. According to these ancient accounts, Adam and Eve possessed what the texts describe as garments of light, a luminous form reflecting divine energy rather than physical bodies bound by ordinary matter. They communicated effortlessly with animals, plants, and elemental forces, perceiving the living intelligence in all things. This was a holistic awareness where knowledge came not from study or external learning, but from direct, intuitive connection. Can you imagine a world where animals trusted humans without fear, where plants revealed their healing properties directly, and where celestial patterns were understood as living cosmic principles rather than abstract data? This profound connection suggests a mode of consciousness far broader than the limited sensory filters we commonly accept today. Perhaps the most revolutionary claim of these manuscripts is that this heightened state of perception was humanity's original condition. Rather than representing a fall from innocence to ignorance, the exile from Eden marks a restriction, a closing off of our full potential. In other words, what we now consider normal human limitations may actually be aberrations, imposed boundaries that narrow the vast capacities of our true nature. The implications are staggering. If this is true, it suggests that through disciplined spiritual practice, inner work, and ethical maturation, humanity might regain access to those expanded faculties of mind and body. The forbidden knowledge could become accessible again, not as dangerous shortcuts, but as rightful powers to be embraced responsibly. A call to reflect on modern challenges. In light of this ancient wisdom, our modern technological and scientific breakthroughs take on new meaning and urgency. As we unlock the secrets of genetic editing, artificial intelligence, and quantum mechanics, we mirror humanity's ancient trajectory, gaining access to powerful tools before fully understanding their spiritual and ethical dimensions. The Book of Adam and Eve serves as a profound caution. True mastery requires more than technical skill or raw power. It demands wisdom, compassion, and balance. It urges us to question how we use these capabilities and whether we have developed the maturity to handle them without fracturing our collective consciousness further. Ultimately, these ancient texts invite us to rethink not only our origins, but our destiny. They challenge the simplistic narrative of a fallen humanity destined for struggle, replacing it with a vision of beings originally designed to live in harmony with the cosmos, endowed with vast inner resources waiting to be reclaimed. This expanded story of Eden does not diminish the spiritual significance of the human journey. It deepens it, reminding us that the path to enlightenment is also a path to rediscovering our innate capacities and restoring the broken connections between mind, body, and the universe. What might change in how we see ourselves and our future if we embrace this larger cosmic narrative? How might it inspire a new era of ethical maturity, spiritual awakening, and technological innovation? One aligned not just with power, but with wisdom and compassion. The Book of Adam and Eve beckons us to explore these questions, holding a mirror to both our past and the vast potential still within reach. Fallen angels, humanity's hidden influences. Among the most unsettling elements in the Book of Adam and Eve are its detailed portrayals of fallen angels and their ongoing impact on human affairs. Far from the simplistic demons of popular imagination, these beings appear as complex entities driven by diverse motives and employing sophisticated tactics to interact with humanity. The text suggests that the angelic rebellion began before humans even came into existence, unfolding as a multifaceted conflict rather than a straightforward revolt against divine power. The manuscripts describe certain angels as captivated by the possibilities of physical reality, leading them to experiment with material forms in ways that breached cosmic laws. Their leader, called Samael in some versions, and later linked with Satan, did not originally oppose the divine, but grew obsessed with creative powers reserved solely for the Creator. After their banishment from celestial realms, these fallen angels established what the text calls watchtowers, at dimensional boundaries, strategic points from which they could observe and subtly influence the physical world. Their influence manifests through non-physical means, manipulating human thoughts, dreams, and emotions, and occasionally they appear more tangibly under special conditions. The text pinpoints specific locations, such as mountain peaks, deep caves, and sacred groves, where the veil between worlds thins. Many of these spots became ancient temples or sanctuaries, designed either to commune with benevolent spirits or to guard against malevolent forces. Though modern readers might dismiss these accounts as primitive attempts to explain psychological or natural phenomena, the consistent descriptions of interdimensional entities align with contemporary reports of encounters with non-human intelligences during altered states of consciousness. The danger of these fallen angels, the manuscripts warn, lies in their complicated relationship with humanity. They envy human physical sensations and reproductive powers, while resenting humanity's potential for divine reconciliation, something they lost forever. Have you ever struggled with intrusive thoughts or impulses that feel alien to your true self? The Book of Adam and Eve suggests such experiences might sometimes arise from external influences rather than your own mind. This dynamic positions fallen angels as beings that both seek to experience life through human hosts and simultaneously work to hinder human spiritual progress. The texts caution that certain mental conditions, locations, and cosmic alignments can weaken the boundaries between dimensions, increasing the likelihood of angelic interference. Adam himself reportedly received direct warnings about these entities from the archangel Michael after the exile from Eden. Michael taught him to recognize their subtle signs, unusual compulsions, symbolic dreams, and strange sensory experiences, and to employ protective rituals involving spoken formulas and symbolic gestures. These methods later influenced various cultural practices for warding off negative spiritual forces. Cosmic dimensions, reality beyond physical limits. One of the most mind-expanding insights from the Book of Adam and Eve is its portrayal of reality as a vast, multi-layered cosmic structure, far beyond the physical world we normally perceive. The manuscripts assert that our familiar reality is only a thin cross-section within a much larger universe of overlapping dimensions and states of consciousness. Eden itself does not appear as a mere earthly garden, but as a nexus point where multiple realities intersected. In their pre-fallen state, Adam and Eve could perceive and navigate these intertwined dimensions, experiencing existence without the perceptual limitations that now restrict humans. This cosmic vision parallels modern theories in physics, such as string theory's proposal of multiple coexisting dimensions imperceptible to human senses. The texts describe layers such as the realm of forms, where physical patterns first take shape, energetic domains where consciousness and force interact before manifesting materially, and celestial spheres inhabited by hierarchies of spiritual beings. This multidimensional framework challenges our conventional materialist worldview as severely limited, akin to a two-dimensional being trying to comprehend three-dimensional space. Most compellingly, the manuscripts claim humans were originally designed to operate simultaneously across these dimensions. Our physical bodies represented just one facet of a broader energetic self extending into other realms. The fall did not only represent a moral lapse, but a fundamental constriction of perception. After exile, human awareness became trapped predominantly within the physical plane, with other dimensions accessible only during fleeting visionary or altered states. Have you ever had moments where your awareness expanded beyond the ordinary? Dreams revealing hidden knowledge, sudden intuitive insights, or feelings of connection beyond the self? According to these texts, such experiences may represent brief reawakening of our original multidimensional nature. The manuscripts also highlight certain geographical features, mountains, caves, waters, where the veil between realities thins naturally, enhancing spiritual perception and communication with non-physical beings. Adam is said to have received guidance on these sacred sites, providing a practical map for accessing higher states of consciousness. Human potential, reclaiming our inheritance. The Book of Adam and Eve paints a portrait of humanity that is both humbling and inspiring. It acknowledges our present condition as a shadow of our original nature, greatly diminished but not entirely lost. The extraordinary capabilities once common to our ancestors lie dormant within us, awaiting reactivation through proper knowledge, understanding, and practice. This ancient perspective reframes human limitations not as inevitable, but as imposed boundaries that can be transcended. The text invites us to explore spiritual disciplines and ethical maturity as pathways to reclaim the vast potential embedded in our design. It suggests that, with dedication, we can restore the unity of mind, body, and cosmic awareness that once defined the human experience. What implications arise if these manuscripts are accurate? How might our view of human nature change if we see these extraordinary powers not as myth, but as attainable realities? The answer points toward a deeper awakening, one that integrates scientific exploration, spiritual insight, and personal growth into a coherent quest to reclaim what was lost. In light of today's rapid technological advances, gene editing, artificial intelligence, quantum discoveries, the ancient warnings and teachings offer vital guidance. They remind us that power without wisdom risks fragmentation, that knowledge must be accompanied by compassion, and that true mastery involves balance between inner and outer worlds. Ultimately, the Book of Adam and Eve challenges us to reconsider our origins and destiny. Far from mere folklore, these manuscripts beckon us to awaken to a fuller reality where humanity's divine potential is not just a forgotten past, but a future to be consciously realized. They hold a mirror to our deepest selves and urge a renewed commitment to spiritual evolution as the path to healing the divide between worlds and restoring the harmony we were originally meant to embody. Rediscovering human potential. According to these manuscripts, what we consider normal human limitations actually represent an abnormal restriction of our true potential. Even after the fall, Adam and Eve retained fragments of their original abilities, enough to survive in a harsher world and begin the long journey back towards spiritual wholeness. The texts describe how Adam kept partial knowledge of plant medicines and healing methods, laying the foundations for herbal medicine that sustained humanity for thousands of years. Eve preserved aspects of her intuitive connection with living creatures, allowing her to communicate with certain animals and understand natural cycles. This formed the basis for early agricultural knowledge. Perhaps the most revolutionary element of these writings is how they reframe human potential. The manuscripts suggest that extraordinary abilities, often associated with mystics or spiritual masters, aren't supernatural gifts, but natural human capabilities that we have simply forgotten how to access. These include intuitive understanding of plant healing, telepathic communication with animals, conscious influence over material elements, and direct perception of invisible energies and beings. The texts argue these abilities aren't myths, but represent the original design of humanity, powers that became mostly inaccessible as our perceptual boundaries narrowed. Consider psychic phenomena like intuition, telepathy, precognition, and psychokinesis. What if these aren't anomalies, but residual capacities buried deep within us? Abilities that most humans have lost conscious access to, but which occasionally break through our limited perception. Even in our current state, the manuscripts explain humans sometimes experience breakthrough moments where dormant powers momentarily reactivate. These flashes of insight might account for seemingly miraculous events, profound creativity, or moments of unexplainable knowing that many people encounter at least occasionally. Have you ever had times when your mind seemed to tap into knowledge or awareness beyond your normal range? More importantly, the texts insist the path back to our full potential remains open. They describe specific practices taught to Adam and Eve by compassionate angels, designed to help reintegrate their fragmented consciousness. These techniques aim to expand awareness, purify perception, and reconnect with deeper realities. Remarkably, these spiritual technologies resemble contemplative traditions found worldwide today. Specific meditations, breathwork, movement disciplines, sound practices, and ethical codes meant to harmonize body, mind, and spirit. The manuscripts imply these practices were not human inventions, but divine gifts intended to help us remember and reclaim our original nature. Modern neuroscience increasingly supports this view, demonstrating that certain meditation styles, controlled breathing, and sound frequencies measurably change brain function, enhancing perception, empathy, and well-being. The Book of Adam and Eve invites us to consider that our story is far from finished, that humanity's next chapter holds the promise of awakening to its full potential and rediscovering its rightful place within a vast cosmic order. In this light, the ancient manuscripts act as both cautionary tale and guidebook, reminding us of what was lost through premature knowledge and what can still be regained through disciplined practice, faith, and integration. They ask us to imagine a future where spiritual maturity balances technological power, a future where the extraordinary capacities woven into our original design awaken to transform life on Earth. What might this awakening look like for you? Could the dormant powers within you lie waiting for the right key to unlock? The Book of Adam and Eve urges us not to settle for the limitations of our current perception, but to seek the deeper truth of who we truly are, beings with the potential to bridge worlds, to heal, and to evolve beyond the shadows of our forgotten origins. Alright, so that's it for this video. And if you want to watch more amazing content like this, check out some of our other videos.